Don't mind the colourful shirt. It is starting to get a little bit warmer here in Australia now. So you're probably going to see a whole lot of embargoed videos go live today. But I think I'll also add to that list if that's okay with you. In fact, I do feel very fortunate that I've been able to test drive some of the new Pixel phones before they get officially released to the general public, and it's only possible thanks to you guys. So before I get started, I just wanted to give a big thank you to all of you guys for subscribing and watching my videos. And if you're new here, thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoy what you see, do consider subscribing and giving us a like. It'll massively help out my small but slowly growing channel. And hit me up in the socials too if you're keen. I'm always keen to have a chat and connect with you guys too. But enough of that, let's talk about the Pixel 5, finally. So I've only had a chance to use this phone for the last few days, and I've already got a few thoughts about Google's new poster boy. So let's first talk about the good. And the first thing that we can talk about is cost. So as you might know, Google's gone down a very different pathway this year with their phones and opted for a cheaper and more simplistic entry point. And the first thing that you'll notice is that the Pixel 5 is a little bit cheaper compared to what the Pixel 4 cost at entry. There's only one model and it costs 999 Australian dollars, and that's compared to the 1,049 you used to pay for the base 64 gig model with the Pixel 4. So there is a bit of a difference there, and it's nice. And that's also not to say that the build quality has been compromised from this cost saving either, because it hasn't. The case is still made of recycled aluminium, which is a really nice change from the glass sandwiches that we often see. And as a result, it's given a great balance of weight and solidity. It's not too light, but also not so heavy that it feels like a brick and you could kill someone with it. Then the next thing is the Pixel 5's screen. The Pixel's OLED screen is one of the first things you'll see when you turn it on, and it's already one of my favorite features. And this is thanks to a few reasons. The first is that I love that Google has kept the screen flat. I mean, the less we see of curved screens, the better. Then the next awesome feature, or design choice, that I love is that this is probably one of the first few edge-to-edge Android phones where the bezel thickness is uniform all around, like the iPhone, minus the notch obviously. And like the iPhone, it has a very subtle curve right at the edges, which makes it feel super nice to swipe in from the edges for UI navigation. They're not the thinnest bezels ever, but they are uniform, and I think that gives it a really super clean look, and it works really well here. Kind of makes you think actually, kind of what the iPhone might look like without its massive notch. Looks pretty nice if you ask me. And then finally, the retention of a faster 90Hz refresh rate. Not 120, but I think it's the right choice. Time will tell, but it's fast enough to make the experience super smooth. But because it's not as fast as 120, it probably chews a little less battery. I mean, it's still a little early to make an assessment on the impact on battery life right now, but give us a like if you're keen to see how it performs there in the full review. Now the next one shouldn't come as a surprise, but it's about cameras and photography in general. Now, photography will always remain one of the Google Pixel's flagship features, and it's no different here. And the addition of an ultra-wide lens is awesome, and in my opinion, a more useful focal length compared to the telephoto. And then unlike a lot of the modern day flagships we see, the ultra-wide retains the same level of quality that we see with the main lens. In my early tests so far, it doesn't show the same level of softness that we do see, and it really does maintain an excellent amount of detail and color. The main lens is brilliant as always, but the addition of night sight in portrait mode is actually one of my underrated awesome features. Now, if you find yourself in a situation, say when you're out having dinner in a restaurant, or out at night in a really dimly lit scene, you'll still be able to take beautiful portrait photos with a typical Pixel look, with all the amazing dynamic range and detail that we expect with Google's night sight. And on top of that, the new user interface with software features of the photo app is awesome too. I mean, this isn't so much about the cameras, but one of my early favorites right now is actually the ability to add and modify a custom portrait light in any photo, even in photos taken years ago with other cameras or other phones. With some help from AI, it can detect faces, and you can apply a pretty convincing portrait light to the subject after the fact. You can actually do it in real time and use that as a little trick to really wow your friends and family. I can't wait to use it more and on some older photos. And then of course, and it shouldn't be a surprise really, is performance. It's been really good so far. Despite having just a Snapdragon 765G and not an 800 series chip, the Pixel 5 honestly still feels just as smooth and quick as any flagship. Honestly, if you weren't told, you wouldn't know. I mean, tech has progressed to a point now that the performance delta between an 800 series chip compared to a higher spec 700 series chip is small enough that in real life, there's no real difference, really. The OnePlus Nord has the exact same chip, and it feels just as smooth and quick as any OnePlus phone. And that tells you all you need to know about the 765 chip. Now that's a lot of positives after only a few days of using the phone. But there are a few glaring questionable issues with the Pixel 5 as well. The first and biggest issue that was immediately noticeable to me was actually the top earpiece and front-facing speaker. It's not good. And I think the reason is that the speaker is under the display itself and vibrates through the glass. I don't know the specific designs, and I'm sure we'll see it in an iFixit teardown, but you'll notice that there's no grill for the front speaker, and it's abundantly noticeable the first moment you watch a video, listen to music, or even talk on the phone. Imagine what happens to sound when you put a finger over the speaker grill, and that's exactly what's going on here. Sound ends up muffled and dull, muddy and tinny, all at the same time. The recently released Pixel 4a, the standard one, doesn't have class-leading speakers by any means, but because it actually has a proper grille for the front-facing speakers, it sounds noticeably better than the Pixel 5. I mean, sure, it looks cleaner without a grille, but they've definitely sacrificed function over form here. Next is probably a contentious one, and in hindsight is actually a pretty weak, questionable issue in the grand scheme of things. But it's the paint finish. From what I've seen from other YouTubers and heard from them so far, you'll either hate it or love it. On one hand, it adds a textural feeling kind of akin to like cardboard. So you've got this extra grippiness that makes it less likely to be dropped. But on the other hand, because it feels kind of like cardboard, well, some people might say it feels a little bit cheap and, a little less premium. Let me know what you think of the paint finish. Externally, I think it actually looks awesome as well with its kind of speckled pattern. Then finally, as far as first impressions go, I have missed the added flexibility of a telephoto lens, and I kind of wish they'd kept it and gone for a triple lens system instead. Now I do maintain that an ultra wide is a slightly more useful focal length, even though the AI assisted digital zoom is pretty good and works better than other competing digital zooms. There are some moments where having a true telephoto lens simply works and looks better, like with portrait photos or some landscape photos. It's just not quite the same if you digitally zoom on someone who's taken by a wide angle lens. But honestly, that does it for my first impressions of the Pixel 5. And if you notice that there were way more positives than negatives, well, it's probably because the Pixel 5 really has left a pretty great first impressions. And it's looking pretty good. Time will tell if these first impressions will result in a lasting feeling over a longer period of time, but it is looking pretty good so far. Anyway, what features are you guys looking forward to with the Pixel 5? Let me know in the comments section below. As always, a massive thanks for watching the video. I want to give a big thanks and shout out to Ellie Awesome for sharing sample photos from the Pixel 5. And as always, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, stay notified by hitting the bell icon so you don't miss out. Full reviews and videos covering all things Pixel related are coming up, so look forward to that. And of course, thanks for watching. Stay safe and say good day to your mum for me. Cheers.